Okay guys, so we have the Harbor Freight tank here and our outlet flanges. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is get this valve off. And you're going to want to get a torch and apply some heat because they have that thing Loctited in really good. So you want to get this good and hot, and then you just want to wrench that off. And do whatever you want with it. You can keep it, maybe save it for another project or something, make a tire gauge out of it. I don't know, but we're going to throw ours away. And then this port we're going to retain. This is going to be the lighting port for the gasifier. So this section of the tank is going to be for our reactor section, and then the lower part is going to be for the reduction section of the unit. All right, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cut the handle off and the feet. You're going to want to cut them off, and then we're going to cut the caps off. So you got the weld here. So the way these are attached is the cap lies underneath the rolled section, and then they weld it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut on this side of the weld on both caps, and we're basically going to cut the caps off, and then once we got that done, then I'll come back and then we'll work on sectioning the shell. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get going and get these pieces cut off, and then we'll come back. Alright, so I left the stand on there. It gives you something to hold on to while you're cutting the caps off. Alright, so before we go any further, I'm going to get a flat wheel and I'm going to grind these welds smooth. So I'm going to grab a wheel in there. these caps we're going to retain, and we're probably going to throw the other one away. Actually make a nice little bolt pan when you're wrenching on stuff. But anyways, we'll get to that later. The next step here is going to be to section this into our 2 sections. Alright, so the reactor, we want a total from flange edge to flange edge. We want it 8 inches, and then the reduction section, we're going to want 6 inches. Alright, now we're going to butt weld this together because it does not, the tank is the almost the exact same diameter as the flange. So the flange is going to sit on like that, and then we're going to weld from the inside and butt weld them together. Alright, so to get our 8 inches, it's 2.5 inches, so we get 2.5 inches from 8, and that gives us 6.5. And then from our 6, that'll leave us 4.5. Actually, I'm going to leave that. I'm only about maybe 1/4 of an inch over that, so, and that ain't going to hurt nothing for the reduction portion anyway. So, alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark this off. All the way around at 6.5. And also know that I'm keeping that port on this section, right? Alright, so I'm just going to take a piece of tape. Get set up with a cutting wheel again. Put a new one on, and we'll go through that. Alright, so I'm going to get this cut in sections, and then I'll see you over at the weld bench. Alright, so we're over here at the weld bench now. Alright, so the straighter your cuts are, the easier it's going to be to weld. But if you got it a little too wavy, you may need to dress this up a little bit and use your grinder, take some material off to get it straight. I'm not too bad. Looks like I could probably take off that. Alright, so that looks really good. I can deal with that. So I'm going to go ahead and get welding. One thing you may want to do is, well, actually, I'm going to align the welds, at least on this can, on the reactor. This is my ignition port. I actually don't want that in the center. I want my primary jet to be in the center. So I'm going to use the weld on here. It's not aligned with a bolt. I use a a bolt set to determine the front and back of the unit. So I do want this offset so that I can put my my primary jet here, and then this is a 6-bolt pattern. There's going to be 3 jets, so we'll be able to use 3 of the holes to determine where the jets will be drilled into the reactor. All right, so now on the top side, I want to make sure that my holes are aligned. Alright. Got a bit of a gap here in the back, but I think I'll be able to deal with that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and tack this together. Alright, so you see my holes are aligned. So you're going to want to do the same thing here. And then on the bottom cap, we're just going to, this actually just fits right over this. So you can weld it from the inside, outside, however you want to do it. I'm going to do my welds from the inside, it looks cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weld all this together, and then we'll come back and show you the final results. Alright guys, so we have these cans all welded up. So this here is the reduction stage. This here is the reactor. And then this here is our bottom cap. And then we're going to adapt this to adapt an ash can, so you can remove the ash out of the unit. And that's just going to be a simple ammo box, and we're going to build an adapter out of these 2 rings. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to weld these together, and they will bolt to here. And we'll adapt the ammo box onto here. But I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to focus on the reactor first. Alright, so the next step is to, we're going to weld in our jet adapters. So the kit will come with 2 half-inch full couples and 1 1-inch. And this is your primary jet, and these 2 are your secondary jets. Alright, so like I said, we're going to use the hole pattern to determine where those are located. And I want this to be, the ignition port to be out to the front of the machine. So I'm going to put my primary jet to the front. Alright, so you can do this a number of ways. You can eyeball it if you want to. But basically the center line in this direction is going to be the center for the smaller jet. So I'm just going to bring this up close to where the weld is here and align the center of this with this front hole. And then you can trace that around. Alright, so I got my center point for that one. Actually, you can use this for the other jets, and this will get you the right height. Alright, so I have a 1-inch hole saw, and I believe this is 1 1/4 diameter. I'll measure it just to double check. It's actually 1 1/2. And it looks like my hole saw is actually 1 1/4, so I'm going to have to make that work because that's the smallest I got. So I'm going to have a little bit of slop in that hole, but I'll be able to drill it. Alright, so I'm going to drill my pilot holes. So I'm going to use a center punch. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hole saw these holes out, and then I'm going to bring this back over the bench, and we'll see you there. Okay guys, back over here at the weld bench. Alright, so I'm ready to weld my my jet ports in. This here is going to be the primary. And so what I've done is I've measured a 1/2 inch from the edge. So I'm going to insert these about a 1/2 inch in on all 3 of them, and then solid weld them in from the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll move on to the ash clean out system from here. So I'm going to get going on this. Alright, back over to this bench. Alright, so as you can see, I got my jet ports all welded in. Alright, so this is the basic reactor. So as far as the welding, we are done on this, I believe. Now we're going to move on to the bottom cap and the adapter. Alright, so basically what we're going to do is we're just going to weld these 2 flanges together. However, you don't want to do that just yet because you want to transfer your holes over to this so that you can adapt it, because you're just going to bolt this on. Unless you want to weld it, you can weld it. There's nothing preventing you from doing that. Actually, I'm kind of debating on whether or not I want to do that or not. I actually may, but if you want to bolt it on, you may want to transfer your holes. So basically, you're going to align it on here as centered as you possibly can get it, and then you may want to use the holes from this flange to align the holes on the smaller flange, and then just transfer your holes. And then you gotta cut this out. Basically, why we're doing this way is so that you can access this chamber, so you can clean it out. If you have a hole too small, you might not be able to get your hand. Hopefully we can get our hands in here. You bigger guys, you might not be able to, but you might be able to get a tool or something in there to remove buildup, ash buildup. So that is the idea of that. So actually, I think I am gonna weld mine. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the weld bench and weld this up real quick, and then we'll come back. Okay guys, so I got that welded in. Alright, so what I did is, since I was welding it in, there's no point in welding these two together. That was kind of the idea, is doing the double flange like that so that you could bolt it to this lower chamber. But if you do opt to weld it, then you don't have to do that. So you can just weld one half on. You know, make sure you you're gonna have to cut your hole out before you weld this on. And yes, it can be, you can cut a hole that small with an angle grinder. I just did it. So so yeah, you just you know, put it on here, trace that hole around and cut it out, and then bring it over to the welder and weld it in. Just make sure that you know, it's oriented good and everything's true. You want it to be as true as possible, otherwise you have a crooked gasifier. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's going to conclude this portion of it. I really just wanted to go over the welding sections. For the most part, I think we are done with all the welding. All the rest of it is pretty much nuts and bolts and modifying parts. So that is going to conclude this segment of the build series. So we will see you in the next one.